Good morning. When I was in high school, I belonged to a group of students that had a special job making sure that the rules were enforced. And I look back on that now and I think, what a funny thing to belong to. But there were two reasons I joined. One was I am a bit of a rule follower. But the other is you got out of class 10 minutes early and you got to arrive 10 minutes late to your next class. Because the task of these students was to stand at the doors of all of the hallways to make sure that the kids went through the doors in the right flow of traffic, that nobody was going against the grain in case their lockers were just inside the door or the class that they were scheduled to was just inside the other door. And then you had to, of course, I went to a Catholic high school, so you also were able to write up students if they didn't follow the dress code. Now, again, I have to think for my younger self that maybe the best motivation of joining this was the fact that I could come and go late and early to class. But there is a wonderful parallel here about our preoccupation with rules and following rules. And we think that the divine is focused on this. We have the 10 Commandments, right? Every Catholic Christian knows those and realizes they're supposed to be guides for our life. So we think that every time we don't live according to those rules, God is upset. Now, on one hand, I believe that a consistent approach to life where we put ourselves at the center really hurts the relationship we can have with the divine. I mean, and aches the heart of God, because God knows not just what's good for us, but why what's good for us helps us to grow and to be the best people we can be. But setting that aside, we look at the life of Christ, who is supposed to be God in the flesh, and we see how many times Jesus actually went against the rules. We look at the Gospels and we see how many times the Pharisees were frustrated or almost tattled on him when he didn't do what the rules of the Jewish faith called for. I think this preoccupation with rules can really sidetrack us. Jesus often said that if you look at what was asked in a rule and you live what's at the heart of the rule, that's more important. So sometimes somebody may look like they are outside the lines, when in fact they are doing what they can to live the essence of the rule in their heart. So for example, let's say a man is caught breaking into a store. And we know that's a felony, right? We know that that's wrong, legally as well as religiously, right? But if we look at the motive of why he may have broken into a store, perhaps we see that they're underpaid. He doesn't have the money he needs for the medication for his wife, who is on death's door. They lost their insurance because he lost his job, etc., etc. I'm not just making excuses. I'm helping us to think that this is probably why the divine says, don't judge one another. Don't look at the outside when you know nothing of the inside. Often we judge ourselves too. I didn't conform to this, so God must hate me. And we know that's not true. There's nothing you can do that will make God hate you. And yet we lay these harsh weights and burdens on ourselves. I can never measure up. How can God love me? But are you trying to live the essence of the rule? And how do you know if you're trying to live the essence? You've got to know what the rule is first, and then pick it apart. Upon what is that rule built? What kind of love? Because everything that comes from the heart of the divine is oriented to love. So take a look at how constrained you feel today. How much the rules of your life feel like they're choking you. And don't add more from the divine, thinking this is what God wants. hard taskmaster that God is. Pay attention to what's your motive and what's at the heart of what God is asking. And know that the one who makes the rules is often the one who can bend them out of love, compassion, and empathy.